Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here. So in today's video, we'll be doing a Washington Commanders free agency tracker. So who's still out there from the Washington Commanders free agents? Who have they re-signed and who have they signed / traded for? If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. We're trying to hit 16K subscribers before the draft. Let's do it. It's free, takes 1 second. Let's get right into it. No BS. So finally back where I usually record my videos, so on the computer. But let's talk about it. We'll first start off with the current Washington Commanders free agents. Also be going over some, or at least one jersey number update for Deebo Samuel. Hint there with what I just said about his number. But Michael Davis, Crowder, Jeff Driscoll, and Austin Seibert are all free agents. Not pressing to go ahead and get any of those guys like really badly, but I would like to get Jamison Crowder back in the mix for sure. So try to bring him back. Austin Seibert, they already got Zane Gonzalez back. I don't need two of those guys together. Like they're just kind of not necessarily the same guy, but it's just like I don't think we need both of them. I think you bring it. You have Zane Gonzalez. You re-signed him. Go ahead. Bring him, keep him as the #1 kicker, but also maybe draft a guy, or not draft a guy, but sign a guy as an undrafted free agent and have him compete with Zane. Whoever wins that battle is the kicker. Because Seibert, he had a good run with us, and definitely will always be happy that he had that run with the Commanders. 7 field goals with the against the Giants. They just had some really good games, but he didn't have that power, and then started to fall off a little bit and was injured. Maybe that played a factor into it, but I don't think they need to bring him back. And then Jeff Driscoll, he's cool and everything, but they have Sam Hartman, and I think he fits really well into what the Commanders are building. And as a third quarterback, I would like to keep him. And Michael Davis, don't even need to say anything else. Probably worst cornerback I've ever seen play. I mean, like St. Juice and Forbes were bad, but like they were NFL players at least. Michael Davis, right now, he's not an NFL player. You watch him play. I mean, I'd rather have some of y'all play than him, honestly. This graphic is a little bit outdated, so I'm gonna have to update on some of them, but players the Commanders acquired. So Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel via trade, so not necessarily free agency, but basically free agency. Players that they signed: Javon Kinlaw, Eddie Goldman, Dietrich Wise, Jonathan Jones, and Will Harris. They also brought in Jacob Martin, the defensive end from the Chicago Bears, and they also brought in Nate Herbig from the, so I believe he started his career out in Philly and then went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Been in the league for a minute now. So those are the free agents / trade, pieces that they acquired. There might be one or two missing. I try to find everything. Guys that they've re-signed: Marcus Mariota, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, which I believe was on the tender, Noah Brown, KJ Osborne, Zach Ertz, John Bates, Michael Dieter, Bobby Wagner, Kevin Seymour, Zane Gonzalez, Tress Way, and there's a couple others out there: Sheldon Day, Jalen Holmes, who I made a video about yesterday. Go ahead and check that out. Also talked about Laramie Tunsil's Laramie Tunsil press conference, but Sheldon Day, glad he's back. He'll be competing for a roster spot, but played really well last year for the Commanders and is at the minimum a practice squad candidate, but I think he makes this roster. It's just that they brought in a lot of guys, so you never know, but I think he probably should make the roster. Jalen Holmes, again, talked about that more in depth in my video yesterday, but I like that re-signing as well. And then Noah Igbenogany is back, Noah Brown is back, and then Nick Bellore, special team stud, is back. So those are all the re-signings. Maybe there's like one or two that I'm missing, but all the main guys I did talk about in this video, or so far in this video. So those guys that they re-signed, happy about all that. Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz especially, needed to bring those guys back. And then Noah Igbenogany, I think it's great to have him back. You have Jonathan Jones, who you signed, which is good. He'll be a starter, but Noah Igbenogany is going to be a great depth piece that we'll get in at times, even when everyone is healthy, but is a great depth piece. You can never have enough depth at the cornerback position, because it is a position that players do get hurt at. Maybe, not a lot of long-term injuries, but there's like hamstring or like ankle sprains or even concussions that, cornerbacks get, where you might need a guy to step in for a game or two. Other, notable signings, John Bates got more than I thought he would, but shout out John Bates. I mean, I guess they did report like a week or two before free agency that he's going to get more than people think. Like Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols back, even if they don't make the squad, it's good to have them back and at least on the practice squad. If they, bring in a guy in the draft or two, probably one just because they only have 5 picks right now, but if they bring in a guy in the draft, then, one of those guys for sure is going to be off the roster. And, maybe it's Jeremy McNichols, maybe it's Chris Rodriguez. I really like Chris Rodriguez. And maybe it's Brian Robinson. I doubt it, but maybe they, I wouldn't mind at this point with where the Commanders are with draft capital. If they can somehow trade him for some draft capital, I don't think they could for a lot, but if they could, I wouldn't mind that at all. And in that case, you have Eckler, you got McNichols and Rodriguez, and then you draft the guy in the second round, and your running back core is set right there, and you're just in a much better position, and you get a draft pick. I wouldn't mind that at all, but just probably not. I like Robinson for sure in terms of he's a good culture guy, and he is a decent running back, maybe not a starting running back in this league, definitely not a good starting running back in the league, in my opinion, but he definitely is an NFL player, and he can play in this league. That's what I'm meaning. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying NFL player, because obviously he's already in the NFL. But I think he can contribute on a lot of teams. But I don't necessarily think as a guy that's getting 15 to 20 touches a game. Ideally, that's not the scenario you're in. Other ones, Tressway, good to have him back. Michael Dieter, a lot of these, depth signings. In terms of guys that were acquired, we've talked about, ad nauseum, Laramie Tunsil, Debo, happy about those trades for the most part. Kinlaw's good. Dietrich Wise, the Kinlaw signing, it is what it is. I think they overpaid a little bit, but, we'll end up seeing what happens. Dietrich Wise like that sign. Jonathan Jones, Will Harris like those signings. Eddie Goldman, don't really, have too much of a opinion on that, either good or bad. Jacob Martin, solid depth piece. And then, the guys they lost. So I'll talk about this right now. De'Ami Brown, they lost him. Cornelius Lucas, they lost him to the Browns, I believe. De'Ami Brown to the Jaguars. Sorry, I don't know why I was blanking. Jonathan Allen, Michael Walker, Benjamin St. Juste, Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler, Derek Forrest, and Olamide Zaccheaus were the guys that they lost. Jeremy Chin, a little bit of a loss, but I think he is replaceable. Benjamin St. Juste, good riddance. Wishing nothing but the best for him because he is a good guy and everything. But, happy he's not playing with the Commanders anymore. Jonathan Allen, definitely will miss him. De'Ami Brown, it is what it is. I don't think it's a big loss. And then Zaccheaus, I think it's somewhat of a loss. He's a good blocker, good culture guy, and did have like 500 yards. So they did bring Noah Brown back, which I think is a good re-signing for sure. A guy that had like 450 yards, 400 something yards before his injury that he missed, significant time. I don't know. I'll put out a tweet later today or maybe tomorrow, depending on when I get to it, about Noah Brown, what he was on pace for. But he was on pace for a solid little season. Maybe not a number 2 season, but a number 3, wide receiver number 3 type season. He also drew a lot of PIs, which, doesn't show up on the stat sheet. He did have some drops, but it is what it is. I think Noah Brown is a good number 3 to have on this squad. You could always add, but still, I think he's a good number 3, number 4 to have. And then other things, Azeez Ojulari got signed yesterday to the Eagles, unfortunately. 1 year, $4 million deal. A little, not upset, but it would have been nice if the Commanders were able to make that happen. Laramie Tunsil at his press conference yesterday. Talked about that in the video yesterday. And then who else? Someone had their press conference today. Noah Brown, Nick Bellore, nothing crazy there. Nick Bellore said he wants to stay for another 2 years just so, his kids can remember him playing because I think his son's 4 years old. Deebo Samuel, likely wearing number 1. That's what I wanted to mention. Not really talk about. There's nothing really to talk about there. Likely means Noah Igbenogany going to number 19, which he started like the offseason last year as. So, hey, that's cool as well. Noah Igbenogany, 19, probably. What's it called? Deebo, number 1. And then, Mariota, whatever he is, 18, but he was 0 at the start of last year, and he switched with Mike Sanders still, which was good. But that's what was messing me up a little bit. But yeah, that's it. Just a little bit free agency tracker. Maybe I'll talk about some guys that are available that the Commanders could go after in a future video. But overall, I think the Commanders have had a decent free agency. Not amazing, but definitely not terrible. I think the fans think it's a little bit worse than maybe the national media does, but they got a franchise left tackle, they got a receiver option, and not necessarily in free agency, but I'm counting that as free agency. I mean, they spent a lot of cap space on those guys, and they got some good depth as well, and maintained a lot of their guys. So edge rusher is still a big position need, but I think Adam Peters has his eye on a couple guys. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you stayed till the end, go ahead and comment down below your favorite guy, player that they acquired, and your favorite player that they re-signed. So for me, I'd say Laramie Tunsil, but a sleeper would be Will Harris for acquired. And then re-signed Bobby Wagner, and then Zach Ertz are my guys. And of course, throw in Tressway, but probably Bobby Wagner #1. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.